Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about a film that you can stream exclusively right now on Disney Plus, and that is the film Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. This is a film reboot of the classic TV show from the early 90s featuring Chip 'n Dale the chipmunks from the Disney lineup. And I used to be a big Rescue Rangers fan back in the day. I actually do remember watching it during the 90s and watching Chip and Dale and their friends go on these little adventures and things like that. But in this movie, you guys basically, what's kind of unique about this is they kind of place Rescue Rangers kind of where they exist in our present day now and kind of what they've been doing over the years, why we haven't seen them, why they're coming back in present day. All that stuff is addressed in this movie, and that's kind of what's unique about it. Is so in this movie, you guys basically we follow Chip and Dale's ever since they were young chipmunks going to school. I believe it's third grade or so when they first meet, and basically right off the bat they get along with each other. They have a lot in common. They have a similar sense of humor, and they both kind of want to end up in show business in some way, shape, or form. They don't really quite know how that's going to work out yet. The world that they exist in as humans and cartoons existing together, kind of like the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, for those who've seen that. And Roger Rabbit himself actually has a cameo in this movie, believe it or not. So basically, kind of like that movie, animation and humans exist in the same world. So that's what's kind of unique about this version of the Rescue Rangers. And as they get older, as they're able to go to Hollywood and audition for films and things like that, they eventually do land what we now know as the Rescue Rangers. They end up making their own show with Disney, and it's a big hit for a while. Things are going great. But Chip and Dale have a fallout at one point. One of them gets an offer for a TV show that kind of puts the Rescue Rangers show in jeopardy. And so they have a falling out. They don't talk to each other for years. And it's not until present day where, 2022, where the two of them start talking to each other again. And there is a situation involving one of their former co-stars from the Rescue Rangers show. I think his name was Monterey Jack or some type of cheese that the mouse character is named off of. Basically, he hasn't been doing well, even though he's not drunk. He's a Disney clean, safe version of that, I guess you could say. He clearly isn't doing well. He hasn't landed work in a long time. He's been offered these bootleg deals. That's a very prominent thing in this movie where if a cartoon doesn't land real work in like a Hollywood production, they end up doing bootleg work for a while so they can make some kind of money, even though it's not great money. But they could still use kind of their animation features that they once had in their earlier work and things like that. So basically, he's getting these bootleg offers. He's really not doing well. He's having an alcohol problem, or like I said, a safer, more family-friendly version of that. I guess you could say he's just kind of down in the dumps. I guess is what Disney is trying to say. And basically, he gets kidnapped. They're trying to figure out what happened to him. They're trying to figure out, is he really being used for bootleg films? Is he being kidnapped for ransom? What exactly happened to this guy? And because he is their former co-star, the two of them decide to team up. They get help with some of their former co-stars. I believe her name is Gadget, the girl mouse that they teamed up with in Rescue Rangers. They team up with that little mosquito guy or the little fly guy or whatever his name was. Zipper, I think his name was. They get his help as well. And basically, over the course of this film, Chip and Dale have to reunite. They have to get along with each other, figure out kind of what magic they once had, how they can bring that back, and rescue their friend and hope that he doesn't end up in bootleg work, as they do believe he believes in real Hollywood productions like they once have. So overall, guys, I enjoyed this film. Believe it or not, with Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, I almost kind of didn't watch this one. So I'm a Disney Plus subscriber. I saw a trailer for this a while ago. Kind of thought it looked a little cheap. One of the Rescue Rangers is 3D animation. The other one is 2D hand drawn. And I thought it was going to be like an Alvin and the Chipmunks, cheap little Rescue Rangers knockoff thing. I was worried with this not getting a theatrical release, what kind of quality this film was going to have and things like that. But believe it or not, because it is the summer and it was released during the summer, not in theaters but on Disney Plus, there is some quality to this. There is some merit and warrant to this project. I've for years have expressed my interest in getting animation and live action back into films again, specifically Who Framed Roger Rabbit style, where it's 2D animation and live action stuff mixed together like it was in that movie. I've always been a fan of that. And so I'm glad that Chippendale Rescue Rangers kind of tries to bring that back the way that the new Space Jam film tried to do last year as well. And I really enjoyed this film. I was really pleasantly surprised with it, even though the trailers I don't think did this film much justice. Good word of mouth I think helped it, and I'm kind of glad I saw it because of a lot of good things about it. So let's talk about the positives and negatives of the Chippendale Rescue Rangers reboot movie. For my positives and negatives of this, I really like the whole idea of real cartoons and bootleg cartoons existing in the human world, that humans and cartoons coexist with each other in this reality. I think it's a very interesting concept for a movie, and I like how Chippendale Rescue Rangers incorporates that into this universe. It manages to find ways where, like, well, if a cartoon's not doing well, they have these bootleg offers, and this is kind of the path they go down if they're not finding work. And I was just really into it. I was really into how this universe worked, and I bought into it. I just had a lot of fun with it. It was just kind of like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit universe, and it was just kind of fun to see that kind of universe back in films again. I also like the story setup to this movie. You really do buy into Chip and Dale being friends, and that they didn't get along for the longest time, based off things that have happened over the years, and how one of them kind of was doing these insurance jobs over the years. One of them was still trying to find work. One of them's been doing conventions and things like that. So I bought the setup. I bought the setup of these guys kind of having a falling out, reuniting again because their former co-star was missing, and they're trying to figure out what happened to him. So the story setup I thought was really brilliant here. I just really bought into these former successful celebrities having a falling out, disappearing for a while, and this is kind of their opportunity to kind of make a comeback with each other. And I bought the setup. I thought it was a lot of fun. I also like how this film is a celebration of all kinds of animation, whether that's puppeteering, claymation, 2D hand-drawn, 3D animation. It's everything animation is incorporated in this movie in some way, shape, or form, whether it is just the cameos or it is the story, or if it's a character that plays a big role in the story. I do like how this is a celebration of all kinds of animation, and I do like that it's in a live-action environment. They didn't just completely do animation for the whole project, that there is some live-action elements to it too. I really like how this is a celebration of all kind of animation. So for those who like that stuff, who like that kind of style of film, I think it's kind of a celebration of all that kind of formats in animation. And I also do like how this film is made for both new and old Chip and Dale fans. So if you maybe watched a couple cartoons back in the day but really didn't know them too well, this film does a good job catching you up to speed as far as what Rescue Rangers was, who Monterey Jack is, who Gadget is, who this little fly mosquito guy is that follows them around. They do catch you up to speed of what all those things are. So it's one of those shows or movies where if you haven't seen the show, it does catch you up to speed as to what everything is. So whether you are a hardcore Rescue Rangers fan, you remember watching all the episodes back in the day, or maybe you casually saw a couple episodes, really don't remember it too much, I think this film does a great job reuniting both kind of fans, or people who just want to get to know Chip and Dale, the chipmunks, some more. You can be a fan of these characters in any way, shape, or form and have a really good time with this film. This film is not just for the hardcore fans. I think they really try to make it as broad of an audience as they can to get as many people as they can interested in this movie. And one thing I will give this film credit for is it got rid of all my worries going into this movie. I like how the 3D chipmunks thing in the trailer, they resolved my issue with that by telling a good story, making it a good character, kind of making me forget about my worries of what could have potentially happened by making one of these chipmunks 3D. They explain the whole CGI surgery that characters can go through in this universe and things like that, that kind of add more of an explanation as to why things are the way they are. So I always give a film credit for that. When I have a worry about something in the trailer and the film has resolution as to why it is the way it is, and that complaint goes away just by sitting down and watching the film. I always give film kudos for that, just because that's a pretty big thing to do, is to take someone's worry and to completely resolve it just by telling a good story, making it a good character, and not have me worry about, oh, well, too bad everything couldn't have been 2D animation and things like that. The film has a logical explanation as to why things are the way they are, and I was really give the film kudos for that. I think that's pretty cool. But for my negatives of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, there is some CGI here that is occasionally not very good. There's one scene in particular where it's like a bird's eye view of one of the villain characters, and it really does not look good. You could definitely tell it's a live action performer with CGI animation covered over them. It does not look good, even for 1988 standards of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit standards from back in the day. It still would not have looked good for back then either if they had to use that shot too. So there is some occasionally wonky CGI that doesn't really work here that I think could have been improved upon. Maybe with a theatrical release, they could have had some more money to cover up the more noticeable CGI animation in some parts of this movie. I also thought this film could have used more live action performers. It is kind of strange that this film exists in our reality, or supposedly our reality, and there's really only a handful of live action performers here. I think it's besides one of the detectives and some of the teachers in the school and things like that. There really isn't very many live action human characters in this film. So I thought that was a little odd to find out. So I thought if they really wanted us to buy into humans and cartoons coexisting in the same universe, I think more live action performers would have been necessary to really bring the point home that this is the kind of universe that these characters live in. I thought that was one aspect of the film that they could have done better with. And there is some jokes that are a little hit or miss here. Some jokes are really, really funny. Some jokes are really not so funny. Maybe once again, with a bigger budget, with a theatrical release, this could have had the budget necessary to get the film made that they needed to make. But as a Disney Plus film, I think they did a wonderful job with the things that they were working with. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers an 8.5 out of 10. There are some wonderful things about this movie. I was very surprised by how good it was. It is not just a Disney Plus thing that landed on streaming somewhere. I really think this is a good film that celebrates all kind of animations in all the right ways. And like I said, some of the CGI is a little questionable. They really could have used some more live action performers, and some of the jokes here are a little hit and miss, and they could have been improved upon for some of the moments. But for the most part, I had a really fun time with this movie. I was very pleasantly surprised with it. I'm going to give Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a good film that is much better than the trailers make it look.